Batman number 32. This is the final of the War on Jokes and Riddles. It's written by Tom King, art by Mikel Janin, as this entire arc has been, not counting the Kite Man interludes. But so we had a lot of speculation get into this as to what the thing was. What was Batman going to do that he felt so shamed about that he had to tell Selina? And I love that this starts with like 2 or 3 pages of nothing but silence of them sitting in the bed and just like these quiet moments of her.
I think the second page is almost the most effective because that first page is them sat on the bed in silence, and that second page just cuts to faces of all the people who died during that war.
It cuts to that and then it cuts back to them. And it's just this little encouragement for her putting the hand on his hand and finish this story. And that's when we go back to the room because we ended the last issue with Joker, Batman, Riddler in the room, and the fight breaks out, and it all boils down to like Batman's beating them both up. He beats Riddler down, and then Riddler says, "Okay, I give in. I've lost." Is he laughing? And Joker's not. He's not laughing. He's just standing there, and he's like, "Come on, I orchestrated this whole thing. I made sure I would get taken down by Kite Man. Do you know how hard it was to make sure someone called Kite Man existed?" And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, he's and do you know what I love about this? Is that we loved how much of a big moment for Kite Man it was last issue, but does it take away from how pathetic he is? But this kind of undercuts it a little bit. It's like, no, he was kind of manipulating him the entire time.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives him back to that status of, oh no, he is kind of a loser, unfortunately. Even though I still root for him, he's Kite Man. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
All that. But so what this all boils down to is Riddler starts like mocking him. He starts mocking Batman. He's like, "No, Batman, you'd be dead. If I wanted you both dead, you would be. But I keep you around because the game is fun." Like, it's kind of similar to Joker, where he doesn't kill Batman because, it's just the fascination, the relationship is what drives him. And there's that first panel where Batman looks down at the table and you see the knife, and I'm like, oh god, where's this going? That is foreshadowing to the nth degree, and it builds up and it builds up. And as Riddler's talking, I killed his son. He talks about killing Kite Man's son, and it's after he mentions that the Batman starts narrating about this. He's like, he killed Charlie, and he asked Kite Man, if I say the bad word, will I go anywhere else? And then he never answered.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that trigger, and what I love about it is that it calls back to that moment 2 issues ago when Batman was in the cell with Kite Man and Riddler, when Kite Man was sort of turning himself over, and Riddler taunted that he'd killed his son, and Batman he could feel the guilt, the shame, the uncomfort from behind him. And Batman picks up a knife, and he clearly says to Selina, when he's narrating this was not an accident. I wasn't losing my mind. I wasn't acting out of pure anger.
I've got the page here.
Oh, go on.
Just read that little bit. It wasn't an accident. I didn't think I'd fail. I wasn't out of control or insane. I knew who I was. I knew what I was doing. I understood the choice I'd made. And this thrust the knife out.
Yeah, it's a big full-page spread of him thrusting the knife towards Riddler's face. And then you turn the page and...
I think it's so effective because you see the blood coming out from on that first page, and you're like, he kind of stabbed the Riddler.
He stabbed the Riddler in the face.
That's what it looks like there.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And then I'm going, we've seen the Riddler in present day, right?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I was like,
just in Teen Titans.
Yeah,
exactly. I was like, surely. And
you turn the page, and Joker's put his hand in front of Riddler, and it's Riddler's hand has been stabbed, and then he says, "Now that's funny," and he starts laughing. It gives him his laugh back, and so there's so much to actually analyze here in terms of what's just happened. There's a lot to take in because it's a really big moment for Batman. And I think if you just told me this, without me reading it, this is what's going to happen, Batman's going to lose his shit and try and kill Riddler.
Kind of feels cheap, doesn't it, if you say it like that?
Yeah, if you just say that, it does feel cheap. But they sell it really well because it's the murder of a child. Because I like the idea, the whole point of this story, and I'm sure Matt loves this, that Batman is not completely perfect, that even he can be pushed past that point.
It proved that Batman's human.
Yeah.
Because the fact that Riddler was bragging about doing all of this stuff, and he orchestrated this entire war to get to this point, to prove that he was better than the Joker, and then to add that little, and I killed Kite Man's son to put this all. And Batman's just like, I've had enough. That's it. Like, that's what I need to do. And then the fact that the man who is all about chaos is the one that
stops him,
that puts an end to it. Because again, we talked about this in the last issue. The difference between a joke and a riddle, right, is a joke's unexpected. And that's ultimately what this is. You know, the Joker saving the Riddler's life from Batman. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, Batman was crossing the line. He was crossing the one line he does not cross, and the only reason he didn't was because the worst person imaginable decided to stop it. And it is fascinating to me, and it makes so much sense why he's so ashamed of this, why he's telling Selina this. And the funny thing is, Selina's kind of a grey area character. She isn't necessarily against killing people the same way Batman is. She's a bit more, villainous, and has been in the past. But she's like, this is okay, Bruce. It's okay. Like, yeah, sure, he helped make you who you are. Like, your legend, your line that you don't cross, that you stick to so adamantly. Like, sure, he might have helped create that, but, how many things in my past have helped create me? Like, we're all sons of our past.
I love the idea that Joker did it to keep Batman how he was. Because, the idea, if he'd let Bruce kill him, Bruce loses focus. There's no challenge. There isn't that game anymore. Yeah. It's over.
But Joe, what I love about this as well is I love the idea that so this was still an early days Batman. This was like year 2 or whatever of Batman's like cycle.
It's before Robin.
Yeah.
Right?
And and he is younger. He's less experienced. He maybe is more prone to like crossing that line if he gets close to it. I think present day Batman would never even get this far. Like he's so.
I think that's why this had to be a story in the past.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that what I love about it is that Joker did, in a way, help sort of cement that he does not cross that. It's almost like getting that close. Batman getting that close and being stopped is kind of the final nail that said, I am never going to do that. I do not like that I almost did that. Kind of thing. Like, because he is so ashamed of it.
I can almost see this happening in the Nolan Batverse too. Like, where Heath Ledger's Joker was about trying to force him to push that line, but I could see like the ultimate twist is like he gave him a fake gun, to do it just to prove, because there's that unexpected.
To prove that he could do it, but he still wanted him to be intact. But you just want him to know.
But of course, that just makes him double down on the idea that he does not do that. Like he no.
Exactly. Huh?
Yeah.
So. No, like I think on face value, if you just told me what was going to happen in this, I might not like it at first. But the more I think about the reasons that he's driven to that point, because it's the murder of a child. It's something so extreme that, it's not just normal.
We saw him get to that line when he beat the ever living piss out of Deathstroke and Deadshot, right? Or was it? It was Deadshot that had to be carted away, And he didn't like that line. That's why he joined Riddler's side. And this is also him turning him going to attack the Riddler is kind of him turning his back on that philosophy of straight control, because when you can never fully have straight control of anything, like even Riddler never expected Batman to try to end him right there, for all of his machinations. That wasn't in the playbook.
Yeah, that's kind of what turned it into a joke. That's why Joker wasn't laughing at first, because this is still kind of expected from him.
Yeah.
But Batman making the choice to do something off script that he would never normally do is what makes it unexpected, and that's why Joker finds it. That and the fact that Joker gets to be the one who kind of helps save Batman, be Batman.
And he's kind of like, you owe me, and it drives their relationship a little more, and it even fits in with Snyder's, like, their whole idea is that Joker loves Batman, like in this not exactly romantic, but like they need each other.
Yeah, he needs Batman to stay as Batman, not to cross that line.
Exactly. Yeah, this has gone down as probably one of my favorite Batman stories, just because of the peaks and valleys of it. Not like valleys being bad, but like you have those Kite Man issues interspersed throughout, and he had a pretty solid Batman story throughout. So. This is a nice capper. I wasn't expecting it, I'll tell you that much.
It was emotional. It's added something else to the Batman. It's added a layer to his character that wasn't there before, I think. And I don't think I'd trust many writers to take Batman to this point, because this could have very easily felt like cheap or out of character or any of these things, and it doesn't. And I think that's when you have someone like Tom King who knows what he's doing, and gets close to that line without crossing it. Almost like Batman himself.
It's definitely a story that he seeded throughout. You know, from Charlie, the kid, that whole story. I mean, those were intermissions, but they were still integral to the story.
Even just thinking,
and that's a skilled writer.
Just thinking back to before this arc, though, when he was on the roof talking to Gotham Girl about he doesn't deserve a normal life and things like that. This almost adds an extra layer to that when you think about what he's actually done in the past.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like he deserves a normal life, and it's not just because he's committed to his war on crime. It's
said that he owes his integrity to the Joker, so he doesn't deserve because he's not any better than the Joker, as far as he's concerned, because he was going to do it.
Yeah, it's fascinating because Batman's often talked about how he's not one of the innocents. Like you always you would give his life at any second to protect someone who's innocent. He doesn't consider himself to be innocent. And this adds a bit more depth to that. Like, that's why he wouldn't consider himself innocent, because he did almost cross that line, and it's fascinating stuff. I have been thoroughly impressed as this run has went on, and this arc is definitely the highlight so far. Now, let's not gloss over the ending though, because obviously we come back to present day. Catwoman basically says, "Hey, like, who cares what the difference between a joke and riddle is? Our past makes us who we are. That's okay. Yes, you're flawed. That's great. We're all flawed. Get over it, you big log." And she's like, "Ask me the question again." And of course, Janen's art here, which is the fate. Because again, at the start of the book, when it was just in silence, but here again, there's just these moments of pause as silent panels, and he's like, "Will you marry me?" And we end the final panel is just her saying yes, and there you go, end of arc. I am really curious.
I think it's really impressive. Just you go back to the art, these last pages. You can. I don't think we ever saw. Really, we didn't really see Selina crying. You have the one panel of her wiping her eye, but you can see it like really obviously in that last page. Like she has been crying quite a lot. With the way the makeup's running, it's like okay, was it just the ending that did that, or has this been like the whole idea of this
whole build? Yeah, because he's laying himself emotionally bare to her. Yeah. You get the feeling he doesn't do this very often. So,
well, Batman, you kidding?
Yeah.
If ever.
Well, he doesn't have anybody.
Week.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, well, Alfred's a little bit different though. That's like him calling his dad and be like, "Hey, I messed up," and Alfred's like, "Yeah, it's okay. You'll." That's why we follow Master Bruce, And then, but Selina is like, "No, wow, I like Pete called him a lunkhead because that was her whole thing. Yeah, we all mess up. You idiot. Like, how can you be so smart but be so dumb?" So...
Well, that's Batman's whole thing.
It's going to be interesting going forward. You know what I mean?
He tortures himself. That's his thing. Like, this is who Batman is.
He broods.
But yeah, so in terms of going forward, like, yeah, I kind of hope they go through with this. I hope we get a good amount of time with them being a married couple. I think that would be a fascinating dynamic to have in the main Batman book.
And you look back at that thing that King started at the end of the I Am Gotham arc where Gotham Girl kind of brings about the end to Batman. Like, what if he stops being Batman for a little bit because of Selina? And it's kind of that Dark Knight Rises ending.
See, I'm a little concerned because if I remember correctly, that whole thing it was, Bruce Wayne's dead, not Batman was dead.
Oh crap!
And I'm a little concerned that something goes wrong with Selina, and he goes, "No, Bruce Wayne's no more." He throws himself way too into Batman and kind of goes too far.
I think that would be a fascinating story to tell, but I don't want it straight away. I want,
give
him
time.
I feel like we have to have the wedding issue. That's going to be a thing in the next year or so, right? It has to be.
Yeah.